the massage chair right now. You all right, Doc? We're not going to lose you, are we?
I feel like I'm going to take off or something. Is there a button you push and I just kind of elevate?
Well, we were going to turn it on, but Justin and Spenny say if you turn it on, you can't, stay with us.
Yeah.
So we were going to turn it on,
Well, we
but
can just do the back part, can't we? Or
maybe.
is it all or nothing with this?
I think it's
Well,
all or nothing.
If you turn it on, the menu is mostly in an Asian language that I don't think anyone here can speak. So good luck trying to figure it out.
There isn't solve all. Yeah, this is different.
It is. No, but Doc, as always, we appreciate you joining us. And there is a Casey Mize angle because we talked about a lot on the show yesterday. I cited conversations I had with you in the past.
Right.
But before that, the news yesterday, obviously, with Jayson Tatum, a lot of people saw the clip. I have not heard an official diagnosis, though, but most of the medical community on Twitter, which is kind of an oxymoron. But with that being said, Doc, a lot of consensus is Achilles issue. Has the Achilles become the new age ACL? Just 20 years ago, the ACL was kind of a death sentence for a lot of guys. Now guys bounce back all the time. But what makes the Achilles injuries different?
Well, I mean, we're seeing people coming back, like in football with Aaron Rodgers and Cousins. They both came back from Achilles injuries. So I don't think.
But have they though, Doc?
Well,
'Cause
mentally.
Yeah, I'm saying though, you look at how they play.
Can you come back as strong? I think the recovery is there. I think, like you're saying, the ACL was like the kiss of death, career-ending, all that, and we have perfected 1, the surgical repair, 2, the recovery, and 3, the secret sauce that goes along with it to get him back. Achilles in this realm, yeah, we're very worried about the Achilles. The Achilles is what, just to go anatomical for a minute, it's the big calf muscle, the gastroc muscles that come into like a long ligament, just to be simple, that goes into the back of the heel of your foot.
So the Achilles is like a gateway tendon then, right? Like that, essentially, is that what it is? It's like a gateway to the hamstring and everything else?
A gateway is always like, fentanyl, the gateway to heroin.
No, not a gateway drug, Doc.
I don't like using that terminology.
All right, sorry, go ahead.
So, no, it's a long tendon. It's usually well respected in the athletes, to stretch out. Why you're doing the side walls, why you're doing the side planks, not side planks, but the sliding board, all those things is to recover your Achilles. You don't want to create that tight problem, because when you do, he didn't even have a contact. It was like just an awkward movement, and he went down. Do you have the clip, or we can't show?
No,
that?
yeah, we because we just kind of decided to rap about it now, so we didn't have any of the pre-production angles, just because it popped up,
Yeah, I mean, it's a terrible thing. I mean, I heard Boston's going into the RIP thing.
Yes, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. But is he going to come back? The way he left the floor and what's being said. But there's stuff that happens. I don't think there's any determination of what's going on. The MRI will quickly show you. An examination will quickly show you what's torn. As opposed to like the ACL, on examination, just a certain test where we actually lay them on their stomach, squeeze their calf, and look at the activity of the ankle will tell us if it's completely torn, partially torn,
really?
Or not torn.
I never heard that before.
Yeah.
It's almost like the old hammer on the knee, and it makes the foot pop up.
Yeah, that's the reflex. But this is a muscle contraction that you do in the gastroc, where if it's attached, the ankle will move as you squeeze the calf.
Okay.
So, but I do want to do a shout out in a moment for a friend of mine, not to get emotional, talking about rest in peace, Dr. Wan Che, an amazing man, where if anybody was dealing with me, they visited. He's right near about MRI Southfield, Farmbrook Radiology. He had a premature death. That he, for what I preach and what you hear me preach and I preach to you, is to, eat right, be healthy, exercise, live life to the fullest. This is a gentleman who did all the right things and had a very rare cancer that took his life in under a year. So even though I pride myself on trying to do all the right things, I don't drink, I don't smoke, no drugs, nothing like that. I don't do anything. and you still have reasons for passing away prematurely. So the message is that, embrace every day. He's, the old cliches, there's no guarantee of tomorrow. No. And, we can goof around here and all that, but the bigger picture, when we say rest in peace, it's a little emotional today. So it was a rough day.
Yeah, sorry to hear your loss there,
yeah,
Doc.
So for those who know him, just a genuine, unbelievable, like he was the guy who lit up the room, no matter what, so it was pretty, hats off to him. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very well said. There's no way to transition from that, so I'm just going to go ahead and do it, Doc. But no, what very well said, though.
I just didn't want to shove it in at the end.
Yeah. Adiz 411, Isaiah retired because of his Achilles, April 19th, 1994. No, absolutely, especially in your 30s. That zapped Kobe, the Achilles, more or less. That pretty much spelled the end for that.
You lose a step with the Achilles. So like that's where I'm saying we could still improve on the recovery and the rehab. Like I remember when Larionov had his Achilles torn, he had this huge scar. It was all jagged, a lot of scar tissue. It was hard for, he was in a boot, so it's a little different for hockey players versus football and basketball and even baseball. But it has to recover to a very active role, meaning you need the repair. Aaron Rodgers, if we remember, had a different push-pull repair versus the traditional connect the two ends, put some secret sauce on it and wait for it to heal, because it is a very thin tendon that will be fragile. So,
Talking with Dr. Pierce here every Tuesday. It is a Dr. Pierce Tuesday from the Michigan Sports and Spine Center. All right, Doc, Casey Mize, hamstring issue. Tigers sounded very confident in it. Pretty much put it out there. They don't expect it to be a lot. The 15-day DL stay will happen. He'll go back to pitching activity. I got this from you, though, and you didn't say this word for word, but the moral of the story is he had Tommy John surgery. What was it, back in 2022, 2023, right around that time frame. In 2023, he missed 2 months due to a hamstring injury. You've talked before about trust, and D-Mac, you brought this up before, but when you get injured, the trust issue comes into play. It's just, Doc, for me, because someone asked a question, Flaherty's given up some home runs and stuff like that, and I said, I'm less concerned about Flaherty than I am about Mize. Just given the injury history, Doc. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean,
30,000 foot.
I've always said your number one risk factor for an injury is a previous injury. He showed that. That was last year, correct? He was out like 2 months?
Mm-hmm. 2023.
2023. So I think they're being, where we are in the season, what's going on, I think they're being purposely cautious to get him back to 100%. Because it's his left hamstring. And if I recall, he's right, he's going to plant that right foot and come through, and that's where he's going to feel a little bit, where his power is going to be a little off balance. So why not take the time now to make sure he's 100% healed? I heard they first thought it was a little dehydration, his muscles were achy, but now it seems like they've identified it to be a hamstring strain. And I think the 2 weeks is just, let's get him squared away. We need him. We're doing well. He's one guy in the rotation. We need him for the run. So I think this is definitely, if we were at the end of the season, I see him being wrapped up, being treated, and let's get through that. I mean, for them, they're not always on, 5 days a week. They're playing, could be one every, 7 days they're pitching.
Right, depending on the breakout.
So he's got that rest and recovery in between. So what is he going to miss? Two starts right now to get 14 days of rest and recovery? I think it's a smart medical move, professional move, and a business move right now.
D-Mac, what about the mental side of that, though? Like, you're acutely aware of what's going on. You know that this has happened for a second time. I'm fascinated by the mentality, how you deal with it mentally.
Well, I think a lot of what you said goes into it. It goes into trust. It goes into age, too. It goes into experience. If you've been in this position before, if we're specifically talking about Casey Mize, who is familiar with being on the DL or the IR, you know what you're up against. So I think that's more important. I think when you're younger or it's your first time around or injury, you might have these questions because you haven't been there, and your relationship might not be as strong because it's a new doctor, new team, you're young. As you get older, and that's why the relationships, right? So you can have all this missed out or whatever and everything going through your head, but that's why you need a guy like Doc to say, hey, Doc, I'm thinking of this. And, there's some things they'll laugh about and go, well, that's stupid. Like how is that situation going to come up, right? We're going to take it here, here, and here. We don't worry about getting to step 3. We're on step 1. And this is what you have to do. And that's, as an athlete, once I get over the fact that I'm in it, okay, I want to focus on how can I get back quickest? So what do I need to do? And having a guy that it's easier than when you shut your brain off and just show up and just say, be here, whatever else, 2 treatments a day, this time, show up. So as an athlete, once you get to that acceptance part of this is what you're going to do, then you got to put the work in. So, and I think it's different too when it's a recurring injury as opposed to when it's something new, or if it's something that, this is the way it goes through. Like usually in some sporting teams or some injuries, they'll get a bunch of ankles or get a bunch of knees, or so he's already dealt with it. Like Doc Plagens has already done surgery on this and that. So. It all depends on, and I think, would you say, Doc, that the older the guy or the more seasoned or the more he's been around, the more that he knows the game, right, so to speak?
Right. So I think I love your point of that maturity level, right? When I was young, I was like, oh, a little tweak and I'm going to play through it, and then it gets worse. If he's catching it, he's now educated. Like, this is what I felt. Let me nip it in the butt now so it doesn't become a 2-month, 3-month problem where I was off for 2 months. I didn't come back 100%. And I think that's more what was the best part of it is the maturity of the patient, of the player that knows the signs and says, let's be smart about this. I'm going to educate my body. I am going to go in and take advantage of those 2 months off, 2 weeks off. And get recovered, so I'm coming back as strong. So yeah, I mean, there's the pros and cons of I'm not invincible. I do need to be attentive to my body, and let's do it early in the season.
This comes from Broder, as a matter of fact. The left hamstring for a right-handed pitcher is as important as anything in a pitcher's delivery. You need to plant and fire that hamstring to get your power as well as repetition of mechanics. So let me, as I always do, put you in a very unfair position.
Can I turn the massage on now?
Yeah. Doc, my concern, right? My concern when I talk about Casey Mize is it's just there seems to always be something, and if it's related to the Tommy John, and you don't know this, and I don't know this, we're just 2 dudes talking like as if we were in a sports bar, like a regular fan. So I'm not reporting this, everybody, okay? So all the journalists that are watching this, calm down. I'm not a journalist. I'm an entertainer. But anyway, Doc, can you give me assurance? You know what I'm saying, Doc? Like, in your professional medical opinion, am I justified to have concerns? Am I crazy? Like, where do you sit on this?
No, I think kind of what we were talking about. I mean, you're worried. He's more in tune. He's more heightened awareness of things that are just out of sync. When you're talking about pitchers, there's a full mechanics. I mean, we can get real technical in the physiology of the firing pattern, right? You got to have a warm, how they approach the ball, how they are on the mound, what position are they at, how they're going to plant that foot, how comfortable do they feel dropping that left foot down in that mechanical movement where all things are firing, right? So his hamstring's feeling off. If you're trying to push this onto his arm, no, there's not a direct connection. Because of his arm injuries, he overutilizing his hamstrings. There's not a direct, if you said shoulder, if you said neck, you said wrist, yeah, maybe. At least the body parts are within. But hamstring to elbow, no, those are 2 different things he will have to compensate for, but not to the degree that it's a concern.
Okay.
I think I answered your question.
You did.
And you brought up a good point. So I think what is the question that, because as we are all sort of waiting for the shoe to fall, is this a precautionary thing? Is this more precaution that there's a little bit of a like as in the past, instead of getting it somewhere else, but maybe Casey and the training staff went, we're going to nip this in the bud at a 1 because we don't want it to escalate too. So maybe we're seeing some of that.
That's exactly what I'm hoping it is. It seems like it. The way you hear what's written, what's being said, it's not like he's debilitated. It's not like he's, it's unknown. We put him on the 15-day because that's the minimum. Let's calm down. Let's bring a rookie up here. Let's fill his spot. See if we can get more of a couple utility pitchers, some activity. I don't know who they have in the schedule. If we have a little bit of an easier schedule, I know they crushed him last night. So I don't know who his start would have been with for his next rotation. Who are we playing next? Maybe
we're playing Boston right now. I think he would have started in this series.
In the series, yeah.
Yeah.
Today would have been his day.
Next. All right, so
Okay.
Oakland's next.
They're at Toronto, at St. Louis.
Yeah. So
yeah, they play Boston till Wednesday. They got Thursday off, Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Toronto, and then they go right to St. Louis.
So they may be looking at the opponents too. That the opponents aren't too strong. The ones you're describing. I don't know the records of Toronto and.
I mean, Toronto's all right at home. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all right at home.
So I think it's a timing, a precaution. If I had to really summarize, I think it's being protective. He's aware his mechanics are a little bit off. He doesn't feel comfortable planting that left. Hamstrings pulling on him. Let's nip it in the butt now so we have him healthy.
That's what I
later
figured.
In the season.
I figured it was like let's give him 2 weeks off before he might tweak something. Just give him a little bit.
If you look at the turns, Montero starting on Monday in St. Louis, that would have been Mize's spot because Mize would have pitched today. And then the Tigers have their starters listed through Friday, May 23rd, when they're home against Cleveland, and then the next day, Saturday, would be Mize's start.
Yeah,
so if he comes back, it probably would be Cleveland on May 24th at home.
Yeah, so I think it's more precaution.
Okay, all right.
I'm going with that. I'm going on record.
Fair enough.
With that.
I agree, Doc. That's what I said yesterday. I was being positive, Spenny, and I went with that too.
So there, and now the doc. Hey,
And now
the doc says it. I'm
vindication!
in. There you go, Doc. We appreciate you, my friend, as always. Check back in with you next Tuesday. All right.
Absolutely. Shout out to everybody to live life to the fullest every moment. Understand that we're pretty gifted. We're blessed, and peace out to those that want to take that in a serious tone.
Yes.
Live life and make sure you take it to the fullest. In honor of Dr. Che today.
Dr. Che. Shout out Dr. Che. Rest in peace. Real quick, Doc, what are the weekend warriors? What this time of year, what are the weekend warriors dealing with? What are you seeing in your office?
Oh my gosh, they really don't come to the office just yet because it's early.
Well, we're not in
about another 2 to 4 weeks. It's like, hey, I golfed. I hit. My back just doesn't feel right. My hips off. I'm not rotating through. I just had a guy come to my house. He's like, I think I have a bursitis. I'm like, where'd you get that? He goes, I looked it up on the internet.
Oh, perfect.
I'm like, what's it from? He goes, well, I love golfing. But meanwhile, this guy had the whole different thing. He's lost so much weight. And that's another thing we need to worry about is as you age or as you get out of your 20s and your young muscles and core, when you're losing muscle mass around each joint, you're putting more pressure on those ligaments and joints. So you've got to look at yourself and say, where was I a year ago? Are you working out? Are you working core specific? Are you working sport specific to prevent the injuries? And if you're not, you're just like running to it because you got out of work at 6 and the game starts at 6:30. You got to do a little bit more than warm up. Like I always say, warming up for golf doesn't mean you take 2 off the first 2.
I don't like it when you do it like that.